Hey guys, it's Lainey and today I'm doing a non-spoiler book review and I'm so excited for this book because it was so good. Today's non-spoiler book review is going to be on Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I read this book back in July because I got an arc of this galley at BEA. It was my most anticipated arc that I wanted to get and I was so happy that I did. I rated this book a 5 out of 5 stars and as of now it is my favorite book of the year so far. This is pretty much just me gushing about how much I love this in a non-spoiler way. Since I've uploaded my Goodreads review of this, I've gotten a lot of questions on Goodreads to ask if you need to read the Grisha trilogy before you dive into this, and I want to say that technically you don't, but also you do. If you had no plans of reading the Grisha trilogy, you don't have to read that before going into Six of Crows. However, if you wanted to read the Grisha trilogy, or you are currently reading the Grisha trilogy, I would say finish that before you get onto this, because the events of what happened at the end of Ronin Rising is mentioned in here, and some of the outcomes of different characters we have come to love in Ronin Rising are mentioned in this book as well. So first, I wanted to mention how well-rounded this novel is. I was going into it trying to figure out, is it going to be more plot-driven because it's a heist story, which I'll get into later? Is it going to be more character-driven because there's so many characters? Or is it going to be world-driven? Because Leigh Bardugo has incredible world-building skills. I honestly will say, I can't choose one or the other. It's like incredibly well-rounded. It's just all three of those categories, it's like matched. I can't pick one over the other. It's just so well-rounded for a first in a series. Moving on to a very quick synopsis, because I went into it not knowing very much about it because the arc doesn't really have a big synopsis on it. Here's the map of this world, and where our story starts to take place is in Kerch, which is the little island down here, and this is Ravka, where the events of the Grisha trilogy took place. So that's kind of a perspective of where the story is taking place. It's basically about 6 outcasts of kind of the slums of Ketterdam, which is in Kerch. Their leader, Kaz, who's a 18-year-old boy, he is presented with an impossible heist. And the reward for pulling off this job is incredible for everybody involved. So Kaz puts together this very unlikely team, which comes up to be our crew, and they have to try to pull off the most impossible heist. And that impossible heist is breaking a scientist out of a lab in Fredja. I'm going to pronounce everything wrong in this. Breaking out a shoe scientist in a Fredja prison, and this scientist has developed this incredible drug that affects the Grisha in very consequential ways, where it burns up all their energy and their power, and they die from addiction of needing this drug. They need to try to get the scientist and bring him back to Kerch, and that is the most impossible heist because the prison they're trying to break him out of is impossible to break into and break out of. Moving right into kind of the story and why I loved it so much is that I loved heist movies. Action movies are my favorite type of genre to watch, and heist movies is a subgenre that I absolutely adore. Like, I have so many heist movies in my DVD collection. I should almost do a video of that. And what I love most about heist movies is that you are rooting for the bad guys, the ones that would typically be almost a villain in any other story. I mean, they're doing something illegal, but you can't help but root for them. And that is definitely the case in Six of Crows, because all have done criminal things in the past and all are doing criminal things by trying to pull off this heist. Usually in heist stories, there's always some type of reveal that the audience doesn't really know about, but it was part of the plan all along. And Bardugo definitely does that in the story, where there's many reveals actually in this story where it's all part of the plan, but it has been kept from the reader. So then while you're reading it, you keep getting surprised, because while you know the plan of how they're doing this, you don't know everything along the way, and it surprises you and it keeps it fresh, and you don't feel like you know how it's going to end, because you don't. So the characters, there are 6 characters in this crew, and when I went into this, I was very nervous that I was not going to be able to follow 6 point of views. Of the 6, you get 5 of their point of views exclusively, but then you also, on the outside of the story. You get 2 more perspectives. And Leigh Bardugo has an extreme talent for writing multiple perspectives, because not only was I never confused, I fell in love with every single one of the outcasts. Like, I loved them. We don't get to see Leigh Bardugo writing multiple perspectives in the Grisha trilogy because we were solely in Elena's point of view for the duration of the whole series. I was totally blown away by how much I fell in love with this format of storytelling with so many perspectives. Also, there's 6 people, so more than likely a lot of, I would say 60% of the scenes are 4, 5, or 6 of them all in one scene. And never was I disappointed with whose perspective I was in while reading that scene. Leigh Bardugo definitely always chose the right character to tell that scene to the reader, and I loved that. The dynamic as a whole for the entire crew is just great. The thing with this crew is that they all kind of have history in some way, shape, or form with each other. I always get nervous when a big group of friends has a rapport like that and the reader doesn't get to see that right away. There's also, not a lot, but there are also flashbacks in the story that kind of reveals that relationship between all these characters, and I loved the flashbacks because usually flashbacks don't do it for me, but this one really shows the relationship, and I really liked that. I could feel the relationship growing not only in the past but also with these characters in the future and how the past has already affected them. So for the world building, Kerch, I really want to go there. It just sounds so cool. It almost had this like 18th century 19th century London feel to it, and that's how like I felt when I was reading it, because all the street crews and just the atmosphere and the tone that Leigh Bardugo is writing in. And then I read the acknowledgments in the back, and all of the nonfiction and essays she read to get inspired for this kind of world setting was that. Sometimes when authors say, this inspired me for the world, I've never seen the inspiration in the world so clearly than with Kerch, Leigh Bardugo, and 6 of Crows. Like, it was perfect. The setting was just so spot on, and I guarantee it will make you want to live there. Like, why do I want to join a street crew? Why do I want to be a criminal? It's because of this book. So that's my non-spoiler book review of 6 of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I definitely recommend you guys checking this book out. It is such a thrilling, adventure-filled ride. I absolutely loved the story. I loved the heist. I loved getting there, and I just like, I took forever reading this just because I didn't want it to end. So I hope you guys enjoyed this non-spoiler book review. Let me know down below if you guys have read this, and then we can discuss some things, because hope you guys all have a really great day, and I'll see you guys very soon. Bye!